Greetings, taxable assets, or should I say, collateral damage. Welcome to the Department of Analytica. I'm Senior Auditor Valerius Krauss, and your attention is now officially a line item on my ledger. So sit down, shut up, and listen.
A audit log, timestamp 2026-01-22. Subject, an efficiency review of the XV Legion, the Thousand Suns.
Yeah.
Sir, we are cross-referencing an external data stream, the source. It's been identified as Auspex tactics.
Today we are not looking at cool space wizards. We are not discussing the mysteries of the warp. We are auditing a balance sheet that is, quite frankly, hemorrhaging resources, because some people think combat is an art form. It's not. It's arithmetic. I have here a dossier, a report uploaded by this. Civilian contractor, Auspex Tactics. Top 10 strongest Thousand Suns units. He seems optimistic. And optimism is the first cousin of bankruptcy.
The contractor's summary assessment, sir, he states that the faction is, quote, fairly solidly on the upper end. He also mentions that players are having a, quote, good time.
A good time. Do you hear that? He thinks this is a recreational activity. This civilian, he looks at the Sons of Magnus and he sees sorcery. He sees arcane power. I look at them and see the only principle that governs this galaxy anymore. Mutant economics. He's given us a top 10 list, ranked by, of all things, popularity. I have my own file, the Magenta 7 Ultra-Clearance Meta Audit. And where his report sees heroes, my audit sees liabilities. Where he sees strength, I see inefficiency. So today we're going to put his claims to the test. We will correct his cheerful analysis with the cold, hard math of the source of truth. Scribe. Pull up the macro data. Let's start with the big picture lie. Yes. Senior auditor, the contractor, Auspex Tactics, he notes the overall faction win rates. He says they are, quote, around about 52 to 53%. Okay. And he also cites, quote, 5 big grand tournament wins or undefeated runs in the recent fiscal quarter. Stop. Right there. Freeze the data stream. 52%. The so-called Goldilocks zone. You hear this term all the time from the glass-brained analyst. Healthy, balanced. It's a lie. It's a statistical suppression artifact. It's a sedative designed to lull the High Lords into thinking everything is fine. You're looking at an average. And an average is a tool for people who can't be bothered to do the real math. Averages for conscripts. The source of truth, our Magenta 7 file, tells a much more volatile story. Read the detachment divergence. Show me the real numbers.
According to the meta audit synthesis, the global average, it masks what the audit calls a bifurcated reality, the change host of deceit detachment. It's recording a win rate of
60%. Let that number sink in. That is not fairly solid. That is not a good time. That is a hostile market takeover. The change host isn't playing by the same rules. It understands the fundamental truth of the Pariah Nexus. The board doesn't care about your psychic might. It cares about how many worthless bodies you can pile onto a plastic circle before the buzzer sounds. And what about the other end of the spectrum, the so-called purist list, the Grand Coven?
The Grand Coven Supremacy detachment, its performance is logged at 57.3%, sir.
57.3. That's the professional's choice, the high-skill, high-reward portfolio. And then dragging the entire average down like a lead weight chained to a drowning guardsman, we have the Rubric phalanx. What's the number on that one, Scribe?
51.4%, sir. The audit notes here describe it as a durability check that lacks offensive velocity.
It lacks velocity. That is our department's nice way of saying it doesn't kill things fast enough to justify its existence. The Rubric phalanx is the performance floor. It's safe. It's a government bond that yields 2% interest while the market is exploding. We are not here for safety, Scribe. We are here for profit. So no, the faction isn't good. Certain detachments are oppressive and others are underperforming. There's a critical difference. Now let's address this other claim. The undefeated runs. The civilian mentioned a Warp Forge list.
Yes, sir. Auspex Tactics claims, and I quote, one Warp Forge list managed to go undefeated at a GT.
Partially disputed. Stamp the file. Do not lie to the ledger. The ledger sees all. I have the event records right here. Nico Araya, the Cali Cup. His final record was 6-2. A strong showing, yes. Profitable, but not perfect. We have other 4-1 finishes. Promising. They're on the watch list. We call it a rising star stock. But it's not earned the crown. It is not a perfect 5-0. That honor belongs to the Grand Coven. The Warp Forge is an audit in progress. It's a vehicle-heavy meta shift, I'll grant that. It's target saturation. But until I see a verified 5-0 report from the archivist in the sub-basement, it remains a speculative asset. Correct the record.
Record. Corrected, Senior Auditor. Warp Forge status is now rising star, pending further review.
Good. Now let's get to the meat of this report, this so-called top 10 list. The Pavilion has ranked them by usage. I rank them by return on investment. Let's see how much fiscal waste we can identify. Start at the bottom. Give me rank number 10.
Rank number 10 is the Daemon Prince with Wings. Auspex reports it is used in, quote, 8 out of 20 army lists from his dataset. The cost is 170 points. Movement, 13 inches. He calls it a fast-moving beastie.
The beastie, I swear this is why the sector is failing. He looks at a winged demon prince, and he sees a monster from a storybook. I look at that unit, and I see a line item, an expensive one. 170 points is not trivial, Scribe. That's the cost of 2 full squads of guardsmen. If you were paying that premium, it had better do more than just move fast and look intimidating. So, what does our audit, the source of truth, say about its actual quantifiable battlefield role? What about the Eldritch Vortex?
The audit synthesis confirms that in Grand Coven lists, the enhancement Eldritch Vortex of ESAF is flagged as mandatory. The analysis says it transforms the Prince from a general threat into a guided missile.
A guided missile. Thank you. Someone in this department understands asset allocation. That enhancement boosts the strength and damage of its psychic attacks. You don't take this unit to flutter around and look scary. You take it to liquidate high-value enemy assets, specifically tanks and monsters. You use that 13-inch move to bypass their screening units, you get line of sight, and you apply the mathematical certainty of deletion to a Lehman Russ battle tank. It's not a monster. It's an asset liquidation tool. If you are deploying this unit without the Vortex enhancement, you are embezzling departmental resources. Next.
Rank number 9, sir.
Yeah.
The Rhino. Auspex Tactics identifies it as a battlefield APC. Cost is 90 points. He says its primary use is to, quote, get Rubric Marines to the front.
A taxi. He really thinks we were paying 90 points for a taxi in this economy. Scribe, if I wanted a taxi, I'd requisition a servitor-pulled rickshaw. It would be cheaper and probably more reliable. No, the Rhino is not a transport. It is a combo piece. It's a component in a machine. Explain the Phantom Rule.
The Phantom Rule, sir? I don't see that terminology in the file. Do you mean the sorceress support ability?
The sorcerer support, yes.
Yeah.
The rule that half the player base seems to forget exists because they are gloss-brained illiterates who don't read their own operational manuals. Read the text. Verbatim.
It says, when a friendly Thousand Suns unit disembarks from this model, if this transport model has shot at an enemy unit this phase, that disembarking unit adds +1 to hit and +1 to wound rolls for their psychic attacks against that enemy unit.
Just 1 to hit and +1 to wound. Do you understand the fiscal implications of that multiplier? +1 to wound is, statistically, the single most powerful damage-enhancing buff in the Departmento's entire combat handbook. It doubles, sometimes triples, output. But wait. The novice thinks the Rubric Marine's bolter isn't a psychic attack, so the rule is useless. That's what the bankrupt commander thinks. But the auditor knows about the fine print. The auditor knows about the stratagems.
That stratagem, Infernal Fusillade.
Infernal Fusillade. For 2 command points, it grants the sulky keyword to the Rubric's bolters for the phase. This is the sequence. Scribe, write this down for the next departmental memo. Step 1, disembark the Rubrics. Step 2, the Rhino shoots. Doesn't need to kill anything, just needs to tag the target. Paid it for demolition. Step 3, you pay the 2 CP for Fusillade. Now those bolters are psychic, which means they get +1 to hit from the stratagem, A&D +1 to wound from the Rhino's ability. Do you know what that does? You're now wounding a toughness 10 vehicle on a 5+. With basic bolters, you're shredding elite infantry on 2s. It turns a 90-point metal box into a force multiplier that makes targets evaporate. If you're using your Rhino just to move 12 inches and die, you are fired. Next. Rank number 8. Oh my, it's him, Magnus the Red. Yes, the big one. The Crimson King, the walking budget crisis.
The Auspex Tactics report speaks of him with a certain reverence, sir. He says, quote, the Primarch himself. 435 points, one of the most reliable casters, big stats, 16 wounds. He argues that Magnus is essential for his reliability.
Reliability. Let's talk about that word. 435 points. Scribe, look at me. That is not a unit. That is a significant percentage of your annual operating budget. That is 22% of your entire fiscal year's assets tied up in a single high-risk stock that can be wiped off the board by a single lucky shot from a Tau railgun in turn 1.
But, sir, his offensive output it's immense. He kills things.
He kills things. Spoken like a true simpleton with no concept of the bigger picture. Let us talk about opportunity cost. The audit references the operational environment of the Pariah Nexus. What is the primary currency in the Pariah Nexus, Scribe, as it kills?
No, sir. It's action economy, scoring victory points.
Victory points, generated by performing actions. Mundane, boring actions. Cleanse, investigate signals, deploy teleport Homer. Now run the simulation for me. Scenario A, Magnus the Red, the 435-point Primarch, performs the cleanse action. He stands on a circle, he does nothing else. He scores 4 VPs. What is the cost of that action?
He cannot shoot or charge that turn.
Exactly. You have just neutralized 435 points of offensive output. You've silenced the mightiest psyker in the galaxy to sweep a floor. That is 22% of your army doing janitorial work. Now, run scenario B. 10 Tzaangors perform the cleanse action, their cost, 70 points. What do you lose? A few pistol shots, who cares? You have neutralized a mere 3.5% of your army's value.
Magnus is inefficient for scoring.
Magnus is a luxury good. He's a status symbol. He is ranked number 8, not because he is weak, but because relying on him is Hero Hammer. And Hero Hammer is the sworn enemy of efficiency. In the year 2026, the Primarch is a glorious, expensive distraction. The real winner of this game is the humble goat. But we'll get to the goat. What's next on the list of fiscal mismanagement?
Rank number 7, sir. It's tied with the Forge Fiend, the Mutolith Vortex Beast. Auspex notes its durability, specifically its, quote, 5+ feel no pain.
A 5+ feel no pain. You want to talk about pain, Scribe? You want to talk about enduring something you shouldn't have to? Let me tell you about the recaf in the Departmental Analytica break room. I drank a bug of that sludge 3 hours ago, and I am certain it has a 5+ feel no pain against the process of digestion. It tastes like Prometheum runoff filtered through a Plague Marine's discarded boot sock. We are auditing the most mathematically complex non-Euclidean sorceress legion in the entire galaxy, and the Administratum can't afford decent beans. They buy us new Sectar robots with melta-guns, but they can't spring for some quality Arabica. I'm vibrating, Scribe. I can taste the color blue.
Please, sir. The audit, the deadline from High Command.
The deadline, yes, the audit. The recap is a clear and present liability to operational efficiency. Mark it down for review. Where were we before that? That caffeinated nightmare.
Rank number 4, sir. The yours! Yes, Sectar robots. Auspex says they're used in 12 out of 20 of his sample lists. 80 points. He calls them infiltrators and a living statue.
Finally. At last. Someone in this department did the math correctly. The Sectar robot. The death zone. Auspex mentions them, but he glides right past the most critical data point, the killer app, the prophetic sentinels rule. Scribe, read the interaction with the core stratagems.
It says, once per battle round, you can target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem for 0 CP.
0. Command. Points. Do you have any idea how much a single command point is worth in this attritional economy? It's gold dust. It's a miracle. And these robots give you a free Overwatch every single battle round. And what weapon are they typically equipped with?
Heavy Warp Flamer, sir. It has the Torrent keyword.
Torrent. Which is bureaucrat speak for auto hit. You don't pray to the dice gods for 6s. You just burn. The sequence is beautiful in its simplicity. You deploy them 9 inches away from the enemy using Infiltrate. The enemy takes their first turn, tries to move onto a midfield objective. You trigger Overwatch for free. You roll 2d6 for the number of hits, average of 7, strength 5, AP -2. You incinerate their objective grabbers before they even finish moving. It is a turn interruption capability. It creates a no-go zone on the board. It's a masterpiece of cost-effective area denial. It has no soul, Scribe, no ambition, only pure, unadulterated fiscal responsibility. It is the perfect employee.
The civilian report also notes that players are split between the Meltagun and the Power Claw loadouts.
That's irrelevant noise. The core value isn't in its melee or anti-tank. The value is the flamer. The value is the free turn 1 board control. They cost 80 points. 80. For a unit that dictates exactly where your opponent is allowed to walk. If you're not running 3 units of these, you're practically donating victory points to your opponent's charity fund. Next.
Rank number 3, sir. The Rubric Marines. Auspex calls them the Dusty Battle Line. He notes they're in 16 out of 20 lists. Cost is 100 points for 5.
Standard. Boring. Necessary. They're the concrete foundation of the building. You don't get excited about the plumbing, Scribe, but you certainly notice when it's gone. The entire Rubric phalanx detachment is built on their backs. So let's look at the math of their core rule. All is dust.
It grants +1 to their save rolls against damage 1 weapons.
Which creates a critical breakpoint. Against a standard bolter, a chainsword, anything that's AP 0 or AP -1, the Rubric is saving on a 2+. They effectively become Terminators against the most common weapons in the galaxy. This is why the Rubric phalanx has that 51.4% win rate. It raises the performance floor. A bad player could park 20 of these on an objective and simply refuse to die. It's a low-risk investment, but it is also low reward. They don't die, but they don't kill fast enough. They are the anvil without a hammer. They're solid, but you cannot build your entire portfolio on government bonds. You need some high-yield stocks.
Which brings us to the most important part of this audit, number 1.
Number 1. But, sir, we skipped number 2. The Tzaangor Enlightened.
They're fine. They're snipers. They're utility. S tier, we know. Moving on, I want the main event, the grand reveal. Who is rank number 1? Who is the king of this entire audit?
Placing in first, sir. It's the Tzaangors. Auspex Tactics says 70 points.
Oh.
Humble roll. Just a bit of utility.
Humble. Did he just call the absolute cornerstone of our entire economic strategy humble? His exact words were, just a bit of utility, sir.
Scribe. Access the audit synthesis. Pull up table 2.1. The comparative victory point generation model. Read me the numbers. The VP generated per 100 points spent.
I have it. VP per 100 points. Rubric Marines. 3.80 VP. Tzaangors. 5.7. 1 VP.
5.71. That is a 50% higher rate of return on investment. This is it. This is the Chaff Supremacy protocol. Do you finally understand? The god of magic, Tzaangors, the architect of fate, the changer of ways. In the fiscal year of 2026, he does not care about your eldritch fire. He does not care about your mind bullets. He cares about goats standing in circles.
Sir, they are just Tzaangors. They have pistols and crude chainswords. Their combat stats are negligible.
Their combat stats are a distraction. They have 20 OC. Objective control 2 per model. A unit of 10 has an OC value of 20. You charge them onto an objective held by 3 elite custodian guard. The custodes are magnificent warriors. They kill 5 of your goats. Who cares? You have 5 goats left. That's 10 OC. The 3 custodes have, what, 9 OC total? You flip the objective. You score the points. You win the game not by killing, but by existing more efficiently than your opponent. This is mutant economics in its purest form.
The report does mention their scout move.
The alpha move, the opening gamut. A 6-inch scout move before the first turn, then a 6-inch normal move, then a D6 advance. They are controlling the entire midboard before your opponent has even moved his first pawn. Your Rubric Marines are still plodding along at 5 inches per turn, dusting their armor, while the Tzaangors are closing deals and liquidating assets. The Tzaangor is the undisputed MVP of the Pariah Nexus. If you're spending your time killing things with Magnus, you are playing Hero Hammer. If you are scoring points with Tzaangors, you are playing to win.
So, what is the final verdict on the civilians list, sir, for the archives?
The list is accurate in its data collection, but it is fundamentally flawed in its philosophy. He sees popularity. I see grim necessity.
Shall we summarize the final verdict?
Yes. Let's wrap this up before the recap wears off and the existential dread sets in.
State of the faction.
Stable, but highly polarized. The concept of an average player is a dangerous myth. You are either a Grand Coven shark winning 57% of your games with finesse, or you are a Rubric phalanx turtle winning 51% with stubbornness. There's very little in between.
Unit legality.
Verified. The Sectar robots are fully legal. Plastic kits. They're not some Forge World legend. Your acquisition order is to purchase 3 boxes. That is not a suggestion.
Points accuracy.
Corrected. The Forge Fiend is 145 points, not 130. The civilian noted a discrepancy, but the source of truth is absolute. Do not attempt to cheat the points ledger. The audit will find you.
And the final. Strategic pivot.
Confirmed. The faction has pivoted away from the Magnus Death Star meta and fully embraced the Chaff Supremacy protocol. The actionable advice is simple. 1. Stop trying to be a hero. Heroes die broke. Accountants survive. 2. Acquire the robots. 3. Master the Rhino sequence, disembark, shoot, fusillade, kill. And 4, for the love of all that is holy, stop trying to kill everything with your Primarch and start scoring everything with your mutants.
Audit complete, sir. Closing the file.
Scribe. It's looking at this whole ledger. It's funny in a bleak, soul-crushing sort of way.
Sure.
The Thousand Sons. The XV Legion. They were scholars once, philosophers. They broke every edict of their emperor in the pursuit of ultimate knowledge. They wanted to understand the very nature of reality itself. They sacrificed their flesh and sanity for something greater, for enlightenment.
Yes, sir. The historical records are quite clear.
And now, look at them. Look at us. We're not calculating the fundamental secrets of the warp anymore. We're calculating the victory points generated per 100 points of mutated beastmen. We have reduced the grand cosmic tragedy of the fall of Prospero to an efficiency spreadsheet. We manage herds of goats to secure arbitrary coordinates in a dying galaxy. Dust to dust, and goats to glory. It's all just numbers in the end, isn't it? Just assets and liabilities on a balance sheet until the lights finally go out. Speaking of which, For the love of the Empire, tap that like button and hit subscribe. It keeps the surfers fed, and it might just convince management to buy better coffee.
Shall I cut the feed now, Senior Auditor?
Dismissed. Pay your tithes, citizens.